Hello and welcome, my dear beloved council member Sabine Messner here. And it is my great honor to introduce you to our honorary council elder, Maya the Shaman. Maya, thank you so very much, not only for being here with us on this interview, but for being in the council in the first place. So, from the bottom of my being, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabine. It's so wonderful to be here. I really appreciate this coming together of light workers.
You know, it is such a big deal to join because these eclipse gatherings are for all of the people that are coming peak experiences in their own respective communities. You have a huge international community. I have goosebumps as I'm saying this. I know how important that is. And for you to basically say, you know, I realize that it is important for us to unify, and all of the other, you know, priestesses and earth stewards that are also coming have their own sort of eclipse things that perhaps they've planned, and they felt this calling to be here. So it is an exceptional honor to have you at the center of it all, together also with Tara, representing really the indigenous First Nations. And I want to really underline this privilege that we all have, that you are, you know, you have traveled from the mountaintop. You live on a very secluded mountaintop in North Carolina, and you went on a very big trip across the United States to be with us in person. So I want to thank you. If you want to also share a little bit about what had you say yes to the calling before we look into all of the amazing gifts that you will be bringing, and what you carry in terms of your being and your soul's presence.
Yes, thank you, Sabine. What I wanted to share is that this is a very important time in the history of humanity and our planet as well. We're crossing through a threshold where the dark ages, which is called Kali Yuga, is going to end soon. And the new age called Satya Yuga is coming into place. It's the age of truth, purity, and many more amazing experiences that we can allow ourselves to take into our being. You know, we are going to be a part of the galactic community. And so, this event that's taking place here in Carlsbad with you and many others, it is truly a gift that we're coming together. And I'm so excited about this because we are like the seeds that's being planted now to assist other awakening beings on our planet so we can really understand what is this historical movement we're going through and the phase that we need to prepare ourselves towards this movement.
Indeed. We all have been almost like on this epic pilgrimage, right, to this peak experience. And as we are preparing and as I'm having these amazing conversations with all of the council members, I'm really in awe of how much of a peak it really is becoming, and we are really making it a celebration in the midst of this like dark winter, with a lot of chaos, a lot of destructive energies going on. We are allowing ourselves to not be caught up in those destructive, you know, narratives, and to remember to come together, to remember the wholeness, to remember the oneness, and like you said, the truth and the revelations, to have that already inside of us. And I will publish the actual sort of mathematics, but I recently discovered that one person vibrating at 300 megahertz or above is the equivalent of 1 million people. So by us being about 22 souls and really raising that vibration, that consciousness, I mean, really, we will all see on the other side what an impact we've had on the collective fabric. And I'm very positive that that will be felt, and certainly also in those higher realms that
Yeah.
we are reaching.
Yes, it's really fascinating because what's coming up is the conclusion of the edge of Kali Yuga that brings us to understand this universal cosmic realm that we're entering. Going into a galactic realm, there's so many new advantages that we can, as human beings, can benefit from. But we have to have a set of well-being code of ethics, because the age of truth, all the lies will have to go out the door, you know what I mean? And so it is a time where we truly have to purify ourselves in all possible means, because in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Now I have a beautiful thing that I just wanted to read to you. It's about Albert Einstein. And he said the most powerful force in this universe is to give visibility to love. It make a simple substitution in my most famous equation. If instead of E equals mc2, we accept that the energy to heal the world can be obtained through love multiplied by the speed of light squared, we arrive at the conclusion that love is the most powerful force there is because it has no limits.
I
So,
love that. Love by multiplied by the speed of light. I love that.
I know.
Love multiplied by the speed of light. It's amazing. It's very apropos.
Yes. And so we are now the receptors of light on earth. As a conduit, we hold space for that light that's incoming that will change our body, integrate the most positive healing from the universe. And we have to be prepared for this, so just being able to accept and receive that, we are the conductors of that. My father, he's an engineer, and he always tell me that when I was a little girl, that we as human beings are conductors of energy. And our bodies are changing. We're multiplying the shift of a cellular atomic structure in our body, allowing us to have more reception of receiving, allowing to be the conduit of this new light and love that's coming in. And this is profound, this is real, and this is scientifically being shown now that more lights are coming in. So it's a time for us to really understand what we're going through as each one of us move through this, moving forward in our lives.
Beautifully said, Maya. Thank you. Yeah, this is, I really see the picture of us being that conduits as if we would become literally glowing pillars of light. And this brings me to you really being a front row light bearer, coming, bridging literally, from the one of the first, from my knowledge and my understanding, one of the first civilizations that we've had is the Lemurian civilizations, and to have that ancient Gaia, earth, harmonious, tribal DNA still emanating in your being through your traditions. Tell us a little bit about the Lemurian shamans that you that are in your ancestry. I understand it's in the Philippines, in the mountains. Tell us a little bit about that, because I didn't even know that they were still living indigenous that are carrying that alive Lemurian DNA, such as yourself.
Well, thank you for asking that question, because see, when we were conquered, it goes back to hundreds of years, that the shamans in my country, the healers, were destroyed or told to stop what they're doing. So there has been the land keepers and the holders of the sacred knowledge, and you don't find them just like that. But I was drawn to that because it's in my DNA. And my great great grandfather Don Pedro himself is a shaman, and he's not an ordinary type of shaman. I don't know if you've heard about the stories of the Native American Indians at one time, where they can fly and they can move through space and time. Well, this is very similar to what my great great grandfather have shown my family. And my grandmother has told me about him. One day he said that he's going to leave his house and will travel to America in 3 days. And he doesn't use transportation. He is transporting himself through his own vehicle, the physical body that have light in it, which is, my grandmother always says, this is the bubble of light that my great great grandfather has to go into. And when he was gone, this few people have come into his house and they're thieves. And when they got there, they opened the house, they pulled all his things, put them in the bags. And by the time they are about to leave the house, all the portals have been closed. The doors, the windows, they disappeared. So this is just an example of what the ancient shaman, Lemurian shaman, is able to do. Now, following this, of course, my great great grandfather knew exactly what was happening. So when he came back after 3 days, he knew that they were there, but he brought a police with him because he wants to be like a normal human being. And it allowed the possibility for humans to create the rules so that we as human beings would know that we are co-creators of the rules on planet Earth, and that we don't have to submit to anything, but we create it ourselves. That was the lesson I learned. So he opened the portals again, doors opened up, windows opened up, and there it is. And the thieves were all kind of gone crazy somewhat because of what has taken place and did not understand what happened. And then they realized that it was the wrong house that they got into, and it was not a normal household.
Wow, wow. So your great great grandfather could levitate and was definitely not just interested in sort of doing this for his own enjoyment, but really in also into educating and preserving this knowledge that you then also activated within yourself. When did you decide, or did you actually grow up in the Philippines, or did you already grow up here in the United States? And when did you decide or realize inside of yourself, wow, I have that special gift, like Don Pedro?
Well, I grew up in the Philippines up to the age of 18 years old, and I was 19 when I came to America. But before that, my experience has taken me to understand deeper about this spirituality when I was meditating for the entire year, and didn't talk for the entire year because what happened was that I became very telepathic. I can read people's mind. I would go into a bus quietly and I would hear their voices coming, and I know exactly what everybody is talking about. So I have that, and then I'm able to see spirits, dead spirits, and they come to me sometimes to open up some portals for them to be released from this bondage. So there have been few gifts from the universe that allowed me to extend my gift to the world. One time I would meditate and meditate and meditate. I lock myself up in the room, and not everybody in the Philippines do this. They are, even family members got very upset because they could not understand what I was doing. And I became completely vegetarian. I didn't care about the world. And every time I go to sleep, I would transport into this almost like a, cosmic clockwise movement. Like all of a sudden, I see my soul just moving into passing through planets and galaxies. And the whole entire feeling of being inside this universe. And I felt that is the most normal feeling that anyone can have. I didn't question it. I felt connected to it very deeply. And in my hearts and hearts, I felt this is my place. I feel so comfortable. And it's not such an odd feeling. So in here, actually, I'd like to share the book Awakening Starseeds, Shattering Illusions, which we shatter illusions by sharing amazing stories about spirituality, about, I shared in this book at chapter 2, the story about Don Pedro. And if people wants to read it, they can get it in Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Powell Books in Portland. It's all over the place, and even in Target and any place that you'd like to find it. But in here, I explained, you know, how my family got into this by my grandmother telling the story about my great great grandfather Don Pedro. But that was not the only thing I have discovered as a seeker. I'm a seeker of love and light, and really seeker of spirituality, because you feel that in your veins, you feel that in your DNA, and it's something that calls you. You cannot feel comfortable completely when there's a calling inside of you and you want to seek for that. So when I went back to the Philippines after being here in America, I felt like I need to go back again. And in that time, I was told not to go into a certain place that I was seeking to go into. And so I went in the second book of, I don't have the second book with me right now, but in the second book, volume 2, I tell a story how I discovered the land keepers of Lemuria. And I was shown that, you know, Maharlika is the place before it's called the Philippines. So that's a very specific name for this particular region of Lemuria. And when I visited this particular place, I was told I should not go to this place because all of a sudden I'll encounter some natural forces that may not be conducive to my or to humans, you know. So I didn't care. I just felt like a calling and movement to go forward. So when I got there, I actually, there's only one jeepney that has to go all the way to this foot of the mountain. And then that's it for the whole entire day. And I was there, it's almost getting dark. And so I have to make a decision whether I'm really going to go and search for that, not knowing where I'm going, how to find this particular place that I'm seeking for. And I said, okay, well, this is the only way I can do this. So I got off the jeepney and I have to walk and search for this place in the mountains where all coconut trees, there's nothing in there but just coconut trees. Okay, and there's no way going back because it's in the evening, no more car, no more vehicle. So that's it. So I said, okay, I'm just going to surrender this feeling. And so soon enough, I heard a waterfall in a distance, and I just keep moving through. I start hearing birds and seeing. I smell the coconuts, and I saw this pathway that led to a home. It's a totally different looking home than the Philippine home that you see nowadays. It has that Asian curve in the ceiling that or the top of the roof that looks like a bird with its beak like flying. So I was very much feeling that this may be this place. And there I saw, as I walked through, there's a lot of orchids around, and the place is pristine, very clean. And there were elders sitting along the path, and they were in meditation. They were quietly and nodding to me, please come in. And they showed me where a large door that opened up that say, please, you are being waited to come here. So when I stepped into that doorway, I saw Isa. Her name is Isa. And what surprised me is that she's very much like a powerful woman with a very good combination of feminine masculine characteristic, because the Philippines at one time was a matriarchal society, and very strong women, and they ruled. So uh, she's standing right in front of me. But one thing very distinct was a man that is laying down across her, levitating. And this man, when Isa told me, "Come forward, you're welcome." And then she asked the man that's around her to pull the body out and away. It's almost like she showed me demonstration of how the ancient Lemurians are able to work with energies. So with this understanding, I was a little bit, I've never seen something like that in my life, So even though I know a little bit about my grandfather, this is like the actual sightseeing that I have to encounter. And so while they're taking out the body, the elder came to me and told me that this man has been challenging Isa and is fighting with her. And he finally crossed boundaries. And at this point in time, Isa has to give it to him. And so that was the point at that moment in time, that she also know that I'm coming. It's almost like synchronistic, that this has to be prepared before my arrival, and that she has to show me that these are the few things that we can do. And as time goes, it made me feel comfortable, because I was a little nervous. I was young, I was in my early 20s. And so by talking to me, she made me feel like I'm welcome. You don't have anything to worry about. You're not going to be harmed. Come and be a part of us. And what she told me is that she has been waiting for me. So that is also a surprise for me, because it's almost like synchronistically, we're like coming together, just like what we're doing right now. There is no accidents. It's all incidental that we're also doing this. So you can see how this works in the cosmic realm. We are pulled together. And I was pulled at that particular moment in time by her, knowing that it's the right time. Everything is according to cosmic law. And so she started talking to me, and she disclosed that the Lemurian ancestry that we have are still here. And I remember what my grandfather told me, that people have lived thousands of years before all this chaos, catastrophe, or anything like that, that the ancient people lived for thousands of years. So I was wondering, okay, so where are these beings? But while I'm thinking about that, Isa told me that shamanism has been passed through our lineage from one generation to the next. If you don't have the right person to receive the knowledge and the gift, then it passes through another generation. So in the Lemurian generation of shamanism, it was passed directly from Isa's father to her. And her father, now she start talking about her father, is the one that is a portal holder of the mountain, where beings of Lemurian ancestry have gone through the inner earth, and the Lemurians are set in the crystal of under the Pacific Ocean, where the kingdom of light of the Lemurian beings reside. And she told me that you cannot just go there. It's almost like enchanted place. You know what I'm saying? And there's have been lots of stories about that in my country when I was a little girl. So to even get there and to be received, you have to go through a portal, and you have to be able to meet a person or a being that comes with that DNA. And so she said that her father can open the portal, and that you to go to that place in the inner earth, it's a water inside the cave, and then it leads towards the Pacific Ocean. So that much information was something that I felt like these days I have learned also from other beings, that this is truly what Lemurians have because of all the, in the beginning of time, there's so many things that has happened, the changes of planetary events, the galactic wars that we don't even, bring into the history. We don't know any of that. It's not taught in school. It's something that in my country, it was passed through generations to generations by word of mouth. These are stories that we receive. And it's not even on the mainstream of my country. It was completely locked down. you know so now we're discovering this because the time has come where we are moving towards, it's almost like a circular, way to kind of tell us we're coming back to this time and space where we can wake up, we can wake up our DNA. And through the Lemurian code healing that I have developed through the help of my great great grandfather, I was able to do Lemurian code DNA activations. So it helps my clients to come back home, to understand where they come from. And surprisingly, I have a lot of indigenous people that come to me. So which is very wonderful. And not to say, that this is limited to that, because it's not true. We are galactic beings. We have a universal code where we can all have different skin colors, different way of speaking, but we are children of the universe, and this is our inheritance. As a light worker, as a being of love and light, we are here to continue the process, the long awaited journey. So this is a journey. So for you to ask me, what made you travel from the mountains all the way from North Carolina to come to this gathering, to this council gathering? This is the purpose of this, for us to come together. This is not an accident. This is an incident that is supposed to take place. And it's a very, very important time. We are crossing between the dark and the light, and we are the witness of this. So our placement is to keep holding that powerful reality that really is a spiritual blessing for us. It's a blessing of love and light that's coming to us. And if there's no one to receive the downloads from this cosmic light, then it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So we are the one who's receiving this. We're taking it into our hearts, into our minds, into our spirit. And as I can't do it, I'm so, so pleased to be with you on this journey, Sabine.
Wow, Maya, wow, what an epic. I mean, I was just in a movie, and there's so many, many, many sacred aspects that you have so elegantly woven together. I mean, from your seeking, right? Where in the world the people said, no, this is a dangerous place. You don't want to be there. You in your early 20s, what are you doing up in the mountain at night, And then all of a sudden, a whole new dimension opens up, right? Where you are awaited and you are in a fifth dimensional or perhaps the ninth dimensional place, that only opens to those that have that, like you said, that sacred synchronistic appointment. And then your remembrance of the Lemurian DNA and now activating that in your clients. Not everyone has Lemurian DNA. And if they do have, whether indigenous or not indigenous, right, mysteriously, they will find their way to you. And I know for a fact that some of the council members have the sort of perhaps hidden, locked up Lemurian DNA. I can think already of two that I'm sure will be amazed at this interview and amazed at meeting you, because I know that just being in your frequency, in your field, will bring back and call back memories. And of course, if they want to also dive more deeper into their cosmic records, this is an amazing opportunity this winter, to also, book a private session with you. I myself want to just share that in 2015, maybe you recall, Maya, we had a Trinity portal that happened on 8/8/8, August 8, 2015 was another 8. And I was participating in an online ceremony. And on the other side of this online ceremony, it was hosted by a wonderful galactic earthkeeper from South Africa. And coming out of the online ceremony, I was asked this question: do you know your earth soul origins? My original soul origin is not from earth, but do you know your original earth soul origins? And and I remember saying to myself, even though I had practically no knowledge, I actually even had to check how to spell Lemuria, but I said, I think I'm from Lemuria. And so this is as of 8/8/8 2015. I have been realizing in the back of my mind that I do have these memories of the crystal underworld, and I have this very peculiar alliance with my assistant since almost 11 years now, where she is like family and I'm like family to her, and she supports me, and our sort of business of success supports her as the matriarch that she is, and she lives in the Philippines. And I've always wondered, like, I wonder what what our past life records would reveal. Maybe we were mother-daughter before, but we do have a very, very unique G always says, I'll work for as long as you need my support. And I mean, you can't make that up, right? And vice versa. Sometimes when I feel like, oh my gosh, this is looking like a challenge, and I think to myself, no, we have a family in the Philippines, so let's make some money. So what I guess what I'm saying here is that it is such a richness that you bring to this retreat, because you bring that original code from Lemuria. And I think without that integration, and like you said, I think at the end what you said was almost like the big aha for me. If we are not showing up, if we wouldn't all following this calling, which is inconvenient, right? It's like, there's challenges along the way and what have you, but if we wouldn't be following that, then there wouldn't be these perfectly divine receptors for the cosmic codes to literally flow like water, because the ether is a water element as well. And if we don't show up, and if we're not creating the chalices, right, the receptivity for this information to come down, then it can't come. It can't be passed on. Just like you said, some of the Lemurian shamanic codes can't always be passed on from one generation. Maybe they have to skip a generation, or maybe they skip 3 or skip 5, because you have to have the willing and able receptor. And so thank you so very, very much for creating that opening for all of us that are coming to the council to tune into their Lemurian potential.
Yes. One thing that I feel very strongly is that Lemurians has been born in different parts of the planet, and that you may have a white skin, but you have a Lemurian original template, and so it doesn't matter. It's the sincerity that comes through. It's the love that you give out. Those are. It has nothing to do with any color of skin. You can be black, yellow, red, brown, and even brown. Some brown people are not originally Lemurians, so that's what I would like to say, that there is a cosmic understanding that we get to taste different parts of this interwoven cultural magnificence that we have in our planet, because we all have been implanted with alien bloods. I'm talking about the Pleiadians and this and that. We have so many of that. And so we come to planet Earth to really come together to experience the wholeness of what humanity is all about. We are cosmic children of this universe. And it's about time for us to really truly understand this mission that we are here. I feel my mission is to be here to speak my truth. And whether people hear it or not, it's about their own spiritual growth. It's about how they evolve faster to be able to capture this information. It's supposed to be an information age, but because we live in a time where information, true information, has been blocked out from people like us who've been talking about this. It's been subdued, deleted, blocked out. These things are no longer eventually going to be there because the truth is coming through the light, and it is not stopping. It will keep going, and we are protected by the light. There is no more. Eventually will fade out of this darkness, and only the light will come through. So this is why we are here. We are holding this paradigm where we're shifting through this, and we're making it easier for others to ride the wave of consciousness, so that they will have an easier time to understand why these things are happening, why there's so much chaos. Why? Because this is allowing all the darkness to surface. Because if it doesn't surface, it will still be covered up. And so now we're pulling that out from the bag. And we're like, okay, this is not working. This is not working. So we just tilt it up, and we bring in the positive, most beautiful downloads.
Oh, it's so profound. Like you said, we're really creating this receptivity. Without it, yes, eventually the light will come, but I think that it is also a service to the act of purification, to releasing the shadow, because it does almost like brighten the light, right? It is, and like I said, we don't want to, keep, pushing it down or ignoring it, which is also why I think in the preparations for the council, we want to really create an openness and a transparency, because I do believe we all have, as children, as cosmic children, been pulled into these divisions and into these splits and the separation consciousness. And this is exactly what the overlying theme is, to defragment our own consciousness, to become whole, and to really see that we're all, related to all of our relations, right? To all of our relations. Because you mentioned mission. Um, um, this is clear, from your story, that you stepped into a much, much larger blueprint very, very early on. I see through my assistant in the Philippines a very, very sort of tribal consciousness still, alive, that is actually almost diminishing the individuality. You had to be a very, very strong woman, a very strong individual, to basically say, no, I am of a tribal mind, and I'm not also going to be squashed by the tribal conditioning, and I'm rising into that acceptance, that greater calling, right? I'm accepting my mission, and because of that, you have been recognized as by very world-renowned leaders, and have been in a number of documentary movies. Basically being interviewed with the likes of Deepak Chopra and other very famous people. Tell us a bit about why it is so important for you to really bring this cosmic message, right? This message of hope and liberation to the mainstream. And what were the movie projects that you were involved with?
I was interviewed by Emmanuel Itier. He's a French director in Hollywood. And with Sharon Stone, who is the producer of this film called The Cure. It's about how we can heal individually and collectively, because our planet has been put through tremendous illness. through the water that has been filled with toxicity, our air, everything, and our environment and our thinking process. We have removed ourselves from that consciousness that has been backing us throughout our presence on earth. So now is a time to remember. And the cure is to remember our past, to remember who we are, where we come from, and then become cosmic in our beautiful collaboration, and to understand that we're here to magnify the universal feeling, the thoughts, the emotions, and embrace the whole. So this is the feeling of remembering, because when one feels that we are just all alone in our little niches, it's very interesting. I have to inject the fact that there is a great ascended master, Sri Sri Anandamurti ji from India, who said that you are never alone. The force that guides the stars guides you too. So I feel that this beautiful, beautiful message has come to hold us to understand that this is not just one planet in the universe where there's life. Other planets are there with many human beings that scattered across the universe. We just have not understood yet where, how, and when to meet up with all of them, because we have to be evolved up to a certain stage of level of understanding and really knowing that we're cosmic beings, and that our our gift from the universe is to really be expansive, and to go galactic, and to have all this futuristic, wonderful tools in our hands, where we can all create the future that is bright and magnificent if we can hold that in place, which is dreaming about that. And to dream about our future is necessary in the indigenous culture. I have been weaving through this, called Dreamweavers, and this is a part of the indigenous way of how we can start collecting, the dreams that is of benefit to ourselves and to humanity. And what are those dreams? Scientists dream about, galactic space travel, and some people who are in the medical world may have dreamed that there are ways where we can reverse our age process, or dreams where we can create our food without having to work so hard, or that there are tools that can assist humanity in moving forward, so that also the same master, Sri Sri Anandamurti from India, who has passed away already, he's an ascended master, and he said that someday human beings don't have to work hard. They can spend a lot of time more on the spiritual plane, or learning more things that they want to learn without having to work hard or struggle in our lives. So this present space where we're living right now, in between times, between the dark and the light, we're going to go across this space and time, so that we can go to the other side and move even more, so we can evolve faster, so we can grow in spiritual, realm, where we anything is possible. I mean, as a great granddaughter of a being of light, Don Pedro, who's able to, teleport himself without any vehicle. I mean, that is something that I can speak loudly, that we have potential and possibilities to move into this dimension, and any dimension we choose to. So it's time for us to dream about the bright future. And as a matter of fact, this book, Awakening Starseed, the third volume is called Dreaming into the future. So that I, I just wanted to let you know that we really are right on the spot of trying to create more possibilities for us to dream the future. And this is the time, and it's perfect.
I love it. I love it. I remember the first time I heard this concept, to actually dream the future that we wish to experience, by my teacher Alberto Villoldo, who studied with the Quero Incas and the indigenous people from Peru and South America, and it really is this art to not be caught up in the nightmare, that is unfolding, especially at the tail end of the Kali Yuga. It is the darkest of the dark, right? And to actually rejoice that we are the dream makers, right? We are the world builders, and we're also the bridge builders, the world builders, the bridge builders, the dream makers. And this is really what the Council 2022 is really, really all about. And I really want to applaud you also for not just doing the great service in activating people's Lemurian codes and being the healer, but also being the publisher. You and your daughter Rada are co-creating an amazing publishing house. So everyone who's coming to the council, be sure to talk to Maya and Radha about the upcoming books that are in the process. The Awakening Starseed series, from what I'm understanding, is an ongoing documentary, if you so will, as
Yeah.
we're going through this in-between time of the old yuga being completing itself, glitchy and weird as it is, and beautiful as it is, because it's deconstructing and destroying itself in front of our eyes. And then this beautiful era that we are actually initiating. We are the ones that are basically saying, we can see through those veils. This is why we're here. This is the peak of our, not just in this lifetime incarnation, but many incarnations, possibly thousands of incarnations, 26,000 over the 26,000 years, that have led us to come to this sacred appointment, and to really put the stories as we're going up the spiral of remembrance, to put the stories out at every kind of junctions. You have about 2 books per year that you're producing. Tell us a little bit more about the first 2 volumes that everyone can already purchase, and then the 3rd volume, which I believe I have the privilege to be part of, like dreaming
Yes.
into the future. And then of course there's one that is also about organic revolution, which is of course what we're seeding.
Yes. Yes. And many more is coming. So we also have energy healing and soul medicine coming next year. And this is about healers that want to share their gifts to the world. And we're almost very close. I believe we have 15 authors already that has come. It came very, very fast. And we have more that are wanting to be a part of it. So if you're one of them, I say come and let us know so we can accommodate you. And we're here to be a true service. So, I'm so excited about you, Sabine, going to be in this Awakening Star Seeds, Dreaming into the Future, Volume 3. And Rada Publishing House is so excited to have you, Tata Jose. And Rada mentioned also about this book where the 4 of us, you, Tata Jose, myself, and Rada, we're kind of brewing on this one about our future collective, book. So I'm so excited about so many things. But, this books are I just have to say that the ancient Lemurians have collected books from our planet. These are documentations. They are not just books, they are documentations of the history of what is taking place in our planet. And each book has been collected in the library, in the Lemurian sacred library. So we are actually creating galactic library by creating books. And this is a very important part of this passage that we're doing.
Wow, this is so epic. This is really so epic. It's like a big a big adventure. It's almost like a scavenger hunt, because at every junction, the new directions emerge. And I really want to, sort of remind everyone, linear time has truly ended. And for us to operate now in this eternal now basically means that we all honor this appointment. We do show up on synchronistic time, and then the next instructions will be revealed. And then with the next step, the next instructions will be revealed. And so the organic revolution is not just to celebrate the organic ascension timeline versus the synthetic, dystopian timeline. The organic revolution is also to go through the ceremonial co-creation experience, breath by breath, step by step, in a very, very synchronistic, organic way that invites us all to open up to our multi-sensory perception, right? Not just our fifth sense, but our sixth sense and even greater senses. Because, and this is kind of like in closing, what I want to touch upon is that you are a master weaver when it comes to the galactic and the cosmic web, as they are almost like almost seeping through or weaving themselves through the colors, the strands, through the different dimensions, right? So there is in the highest divinity, the highest truth and pure clarity. And then as we're sort of weaving it step by step, we're kind of starting to see how this all has come together. So as a cosmic records keeper, which is an incredible responsibility, here's this word responding again, right? Because you're seeing something, and with that you're opening a lot of other doors, right? It is such an incredible artistry to look at the records of a person, to look at their storytelling over not just this star systems, but perhaps many, many star systems, right? And some heavy and some light, right? And some positive and some not, because we have been playing both sides. How do you what's your relationship with the cosmic kind of living intelligence, the cosmic records, and how do you, why would you say this is an important step for us to connect with those records and to talk with the records and to commune with the records? Why is this so important at this junction?
Infinite cosmic records came to me. It's an original modality out of the Lemurian code healing that has been brewing for many years, and through my experiences as well. So I was led to this by being able to see my past and my future through the records. And through this, I started to experiment with my clients. And when they went into the records, which I first do the cleansing of their chakra, because in order to get to the records, we have to clear blockages, because you won't be able to see. Some people are not able to see because blockages are so deep. And I have a couple of those clients, but most of them, I would say 99.9%, clients are able to see past lives, galactic lives, other planets and other environment that they never imagine in their life, in this lifetime. They're able to transport themselves. And how I do this is that we open up and I lead them through this space where I open up doorways for them, and then they have to walk through that. And then they start seeing what their past lives are in this specific doorway that they have entered. Passing through the doorway is the theme, because when they're there, it's the whole new world for them. And sometimes anybody who may have very traumatic experiences in this lifetime, we can open that up in this infinite cosmic records, and it will point out exactly why this has taken place. So they go back, they are able to see all these events, and they're able to understand so that they can have peace and understanding and they have to resolve this, because in order to go beyond all the traumas, we have to resolve in order to move forward. So this is a great opportunity to go into the infinite cosmic records to understand what you need to resolve. It's a practical way of resolving your daily traumas or existence, or even just the feeling, because I have clients that wanted to go into the records with pure desire to know their Lemurian heritage or cosmic heritage. So some people call it, they say it's kind of like Akashic records, but not quite. It's kind of like Dolores Cannon, but not quite. It's kind of like past life regression, but not quite. So it's all of this plus much more. So when you go into the records, you will find yourself surprised. I myself, so hearing my clients go through it. Some of my clients cannot remember when they're in the records, so I record this in Zoom so that they can really truly listen to it again. And especially deep stuff, like you're a part of the Galactic Star Nation. One client of mine has to go through that process of trying to find out her soul families, and she's able to, like, she was taken up on a ship, taken out from her home and transported to a ship, and she was asked, where do you want to go by these beings? And so she kept experiencing many of these experiences that she gets really so shocked, because we are humans, we are put in a glove compartment in this body. We cannot remember everything of our past. So by going through the records, you kind of just step into a totally different realm where, for example, this client of mine that has question about who are these beings that are showing up in her bedside when she wakes up. They're there. And she wonders why they're there. So in this record, she was able to talk to them and ask them. So that's why I say it's beyond all this other stuff that I mentioned, because there are messages through your guides, and you can meet your guides in your infinite cosmic records. So you are able to speak to your guides, spiritual guides of the pure light. And these are the beings that can answer your questions. So you have a real conversation, and it goes beyond normal therapy. It's nothing like it, and it really closes in with the gap. If you have a gap of confusion, not knowing why things are happening in your life, you find it out through the records, the infinite cosmic records. And I'm actually having this book come out not this year but early next year, because with all these events it's being delayed. This book, Infinite Cosmic Records, will be next year, early next year.
Oh, this will be so epic to really have that book. I know it's been in the works. Wow. Yeah, I mean, many of you will be familiar with Akashic records, and the Akasha is definitely something that is more, from my understanding, related to this galaxy. The infinite records is like taking it interstellar, and so wow, quite an access and quite a perspective. Um, it gives me great hope, Maya, because I believe that you mentioned earlier, how we have really been poisoned here on this planet, and even nature, with all the pesticides and all of the pollution that is going on. It is such a, I mean, we talk a lot about the crime against humanity, but it's also a crime against all other sentient realms that are so pure and beautiful. And it gives me hope to hear that by the remembrance of us stepping into this sort of, circle, this crucible at this amazing point, right? Becoming whole inside of ourselves, that wholeness, that oneness that happens on that consciousness level, which you said earlier, is really the ultimate cure. It cures cancer, it cures diseases, it cures us also from the illness, right, of this third dimensional, you know little compartment box, right, that we have been shoved in, this prison that is only existing really in this artificial simulation. It really brings us back to the greater picture that we are cosmic children, and ultimately creation, from what I see, is here to celebrate creation. There is no other really, purpose other than to celebrate again and again and again, creation for the sake of celebration, creation for the sake of celebration. And so may this be a big sort of theme that we get to experience at this council, and that we get to really remember in such a way that we can come into all sorts of, perhaps chaotic, unpleasant sceneries, and then help other people to remember that actually it is not over until the happy ending, right? Until we have that happy ending, because we are the creators of our dreams, and we choose to wake up in our beautiful golden promise.
That's correct. That's correct. Well said.
So Maya, is there anything else that you feel like you want to also share with our council members about, I mean, we talked about your epic gifts, this incredible access that you have, the ancient and also the infinite, DNA records that you are bridging inside of your beautiful radiant being. Anything else that you feel like would be useful for us to also let people know about?
I feel that it's, in the first reading of Albert Einstein, where he talks about that he can turn the E equals MC2 to the most powerful force, which has no limit, is love. And through this, I was able to have that experience when I was just in my, earlier years, which I was 17 years old, when I was using a mantra that is so powerful. And this mantra is Bhavanam Kevalam, which works with your breath. And when I was doing all of that, it shifted something very, very big in me. And that was my first realization of awakening, because the mantra is about love. Love is all there is. So when you say it over and over again in your mind and you hold that space for it, what happens? That's when I start going through these galactic tunnels and moving through the cosmos and experiencing what the universe is really all about, because it clears out channels inside us, which is our chakras are channels, they are portals of light. And so when we download beautiful, important, powerful light codes and words that comes together, we actually activate those channels and we open them up so that we can be a part of the experience of the universal cosmic experience of who we are. We are not just limited in this body. This body is a transportation for us, but it has powerful magnetic openings that if we allow that to be channeled and constantly be used in our daily basis through meditation. Meditation is an important part of it, because we sit quietly, we bring the mantra that harmonizes with us, we connect with a higher force, and we allow ourselves to be transported in another level. We just surrender ourselves to that cosmic realm, and the cosmos takes care of us. That's the beauty of this. And I wish that in our gathering that we get to do even a little bit of meditation before we start in the morning and before we end the evening. That would be something I would like to share with our council members, to hold the cosmic space in this gathering. And I'm happy to be the guide for this.
Yes, we absolutely receive. And anything else that you feel like you perhaps even in the moment. Certainly on Monday, we have so much, openness, and even we've opened up also the program for more organic revelations on Sunday, really letting go of the linear sort of broadcast schedule. Anything that you feel in addition to that, beyond your presence, to contribute, any processes, we would be very, very grateful to commune. And the love prayer, the love meditation, that mantra, having that as the bookends for both days, absolutely, let's make that happen.
All right, this is wonderful. And I'm here to play with you, Sabine.
Yes. Me too, dear Maya. Thank you so very, very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for being on this epic, epic journey with all of us.
I'm so excited. So let's do it.
Let's do it. See you next weekend. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you perhaps in some of the other calls. And thank you from the bottom of my heart
Thank you.
for answering the call. Bye-bye now.
Bye.